All right, ready, Bodie? So with our handsome Mr. B, I figured we'd warm up a little bit with some more loose leash walking. I want to work a little bit first off of his gear and then throw in a little bit with his leash as well. So obviously when working he's like, hold up, got stuck in my jowls. It's embarrassing. You good? So whenever working through some of this lovely loose leash walking for Mr. B, I know that you guys have been working really hard at it, and he's been doing a real nice job. And I know that you've also mentioned that you've made his environment a little bit softer now, where, for example, he's working in the beginning stages of his home area and environment. Oh my gosh, chewing. So you got it, sir. He's like, whew, that was a good one. Halfway down. Maybe you're going to just hang out here for a second. So when you're working in those environments, I know we mentioned how the environment itself can drive behavior, but also when you're dealing with adolescence, that can make a whole nother can of worms. So I know that he has been getting rather eager and overwhelmed at times, and then very sort of barky, and he also does a bit of pulling. So when you're having your babes go from puppyhood into adolescence, I know we dived into this a little bit already, it's just, he's like, did you throw it yet? Almost. Here, I'll throw it for you. Go find it, you handsome man. So if your babe is ever struggling, there is no harm in trying to set them up for success by making the environment more attainable. So if your babe is really having a challenging moment, you can always make it softer and an easier setup for greater success. Because remember, whatever Mr. B, just like his other classmates, are rehearsing, he's getting good at. So if that means when we go outside, it's about sort of losing your marbles or getting really overwhelmed or shutting down or whatever the behavior might be, ready to find it, then that is the thing your puppy's getting good at into adulthood. Nice. So right now, as we're doing a little bit with this loose leash walking, every once in a while you'll see that I do toss a snack out in the distance for him to do a find it. So the benefit of giving your babe the chance to take a break and move away is it gives them the chance to kind of practice this reorientation back to the handler. Nice job, Mr. B. What a smart man. I know, I think Mr. L says he was not done with his turn and he wants to come back out again. So ready, find it. So maybe what we'll do is we'll dive into a little bit with some weights with recall. Bodie, here. He says, hold on, there's something smelly. He swears he lost a snack down at that end. So let's say I tried saying my puppy's name and the recall word. Today's really windy, so I'm hoping my hair is not a complete and utter crazy lady because I don't check in between filming. So I'm hoping I'm not having a crazy lady hair day. Yes, nice job. So if you ask for your puppy to do something and they're not able to perform, I would always think to myself, what created that outcome? Is it something that maybe the puppy was set up sadly by mistake for failure and then getting good at that? So right here, Bodie, here. Yes, nice job. Good check-in. What a smart boy. So I'm going to do another little find it. So I do like to rotate through a couple different skills. It keeps your puppy's engagement on you much more intimate. If we make ourselves very stringent or rigid and we have to do this and this and this and this, and then that's the only order, I feel that a lot of times we get frustrated with that dynamic, and then the puppies might get a little bit burnt out or a little bit fatigued too, because maybe one of those skills that you were hoping for just wasn't on the table for something they could accomplish. So being flexible is going to be really crucial, but also gauge what is your puppy telling you through their body language. So if your puppy is not looking comfortable or confident, or maybe they're looking sore, or maybe they're going through a growth spurt. Like I know Mr. T, the St. Bernard mix, he is growing, we got some good noises. He's growing like a weed. Yes, nice job. So right now he's like, what the heck? So when sometimes Mr. B hears a funny noise, we're off topic again, is when he hears a funny noise, I don't want him to think the funny noise is the bringer of unknown or spooky, or he might get a little nervous. So I went right into hearing that funny noise, right into a nice big find it. So remember, you can't reinforce fear. Bodie, ready? Here. Yes, good boy. So when your puppy is showing signs they're a little unsure or disjointed or flustered, in your attempt to get them to redirect or do another skill instead, like a find it, you're not reinforcing the anxiety or the fear or the even reactivity you might get at a moment. what you're doing is you're trying to help your puppy regulate themselves by doing scatter feeding, which again, I know we mentioned a little earlier for Mr. L, is the foraging and sniffing out and then scavenging for food is a really great way to help your puppy keep themselves more under threshold. It gives them something to do instead of the other behavior you weren't looking for, but it also helps lower that heart rate, raise serotonin and dopamine, while also lowering cortisol, which is that stress hormone. Ready? Bodie, here. What a smart boy. He says, thank you, I'm trying. He's being so good. So we'll try a few weights and see how he's rocking them. So we're going to get he's like, yeah, I'm so ready. We're going to tell him to wait. And I'm going to just add a little bit of distance. If this was really, really challenging for Mr. B, I would not be adding too many elements all at once. I'm just going to see how he's feeling. Bodie, here. Yes, nice job, sir. And he and the classmates are so stinking cute together. They're all getting to be very nice little friends. I know the three. I know, thank you, very exciting. So we can't bark and not maybe chew at the same time. So if he gets a little woo-wooey, remember we have discussed this a little bit for Mr. B. He gets a little eager beaver and then he gets a little frustrated because he wants something, but it's not happening at his rate. So the barking, I would just ignore or redirect to the better skill. Ready, Bodie? So if sometimes he is a little bit unsure, you could change up the dynamic. Ready? Wait. So if, let's say, while sitting and waiting was really hard for him and he was yelling at me the whole time, I would maybe go back to working, let's say, a find it with a recall instead. So Bodie here. So he doesn't have to feel that he's getting a little bit lost and flustered. So the barking can be, again, frustration, excitement, being a little confused, being a dog. So all normal things. So we get it, that's it. We're going to tell him to wait. He's like, my life is so hard. He's very pretty. We're still holding back. He says, I thought it was going to be time. Nice. Bodie here. Yes, good job. So he's getting really, really, really quite refined with that lovely little check-in from the wait. Good job, sir. Maybe we'll rock one more and then we'll work a little bit with that leash exercise. I know, we're so excited. So again, wait. He's doing a very good job though. Sometimes we just can't help ourselves. We're a bit of a wild man teenager. That's acceptable. So ready? Bodie here. Yes. And his classmates are like, what the heck? We'd rather just go wrestle again. So we're going to just do another little find it. Nice. And we'll see if he can just orient back to me. Yes, what a good boy. I know he and Teddy still love to wrestle together. It's so cute. Ready? Find it. Bodie, here. Oh, what a smart boy. Good job. Oh, find it. He's like, fell out. So let's say you're going to be implementing some of these skills like we've mentioned already, and I know we chatted about it, in and around your home, your yard, your side yard, your front yard. I know you have certain zones where like you can easily kind of scuttle back in or sneak back out. And you want to think, oh my goodness, you want to think about the environments a lot of times, kind of like we did in the reactive dog class, where you have, for example, your easy shallow end and your harder, deeper end of the swimming pool. And we want to do little adventures to the deeper end, but while still feeling supported. So you've got your swimmies on, you've got your lifeguard and swim instructor available. If we're just literally going from easy on the side of the pool deck where you're not even in the water to instantly being thrown in the deep end, that is going to be where you get bigger behavior or responses from your puppy. So if they are non-responsive, he's like, I'm starving. Oh my gosh, hungry hippo, we're just going to ignore. So if they were, for example, shutting down or getting too exuberant in their behavior, then they're normally having a harder time with that dynamic. So we want to go away from the deep end where they're struggling and back to the shallow end where things seem easy, attainable, and successful. So right here, I'm just going to grab his leash and just meander with him for a few moments. If gear tends to equal, oh my gosh, greatest day of my life, or oh no, I would recommend to practice grabbing for gear and sometimes have the gear be nonchalant, like just hanging out with you. If the gear tends to always equal, like I'm losing my marbles, and then you're screaming sit 15 times as your puppy's like assaulting you sweetly, then I'd say that maybe we need to practice the gear separated from the task. So if gear tends to always equal we're going out for a walk or we're doing that thing, I would start practicing holding your leash and help the puppy work through it with sort of some skills that involve movement. So then as your puppy comes over and you're holding your gear, the gear itself is not so exuberant or so flustering that they have a hard time about it. Oh my gosh, chewing. You got it? He says, that is very challenging. Oh my goodness, maybe you should go get a drink of water, you silly goose. He says, no, I'm ready. So we might get a little sip from him. Smart boy. So we do not have to get sits every time. I know sit becomes like the default that everybody wants their dog to like sit before the doorway, sit before walking across the road, sit before doing this. For some puppies, sit then becomes sort of a bit negative because it's always being forced upon them when maybe they're overwhelmed, too excited, or flustered. Oh, that's a good idea. So if you're finding that you're asking for sits all the time, could you maybe replace it with a check-in with some eyes? Could you maybe replace it with maybe a different behavior? I'm not saying to get rid of sit, but I feel that a lot of times sit is used so much and in moments where your babe is struggling. So if we force the sit when they're having a hard time, then sit becomes, here comes the scary person, or here comes that scary thing, and now I'm forced to be stationary, and now I'm feeling even more trapped. So remember how we could poison a skill or, for example, a food. So we want to refrain from doing that. So again, right here, we're just going to hook up Mr. B. He's like, I guess so. We're going to go. How exciting. So one of the things I like to work on with loose leash walking is that gear itself shouldn't be the thing that creates behavior. So if you're looking to your leash to stop pulling or a piece of equipment to stop pulling, then that means the dog doesn't understand what loose leash walking is and that they haven't been shown how to be successful. If your puppy starts to pull when normally they didn't pull, then they're either getting overwhelmed, overstimulated, or are feeling that maybe they're not getting their enrichment the way they were hoping. So dogs tend to walk faster than us. They tend to want to explore the world through their sense of smell. And we tend to think of going for a walk as just point A to point B. So for your loose leash walking, make sure that on your end, you're also loose and relaxed and not either yanking back or constant tension. Nice. So that's where it's almost learning your foot, sort of hand-foot coordination just without the gear, and then implementing the gear as you have more of that foundation. Nice. But this is where I know you guys have worked ready front with bringing your puppy into the front of you from, let's say, walking next to you. You could rock a few fronts, and he could be even standing. So he could go into a front and be in front of you, but not necessarily going into a sitting position. Then you can, oh my gosh, chew them, silly goose. Then he can go back into his side position and go back into, like, you know, being on the leg, whichever side you prefer for that loose leash walking. So this could be, again, that heel, with me, let's go, whatever slogan you guys want to use for loose leash walking. He says chewing is optional. Yes. What a smart boy. What a good job. I know our little babies are like, we should wrestle instead. Ready? Oh my gosh, chew them, sir. He's like, hold up, not quite there. You got it out yet? Poor baby. He normally does a pretty good job with most of his chewing, but today maybe he's just doing a little bit more extra panting. It is a bit of a, not super warm day, but a little bit warmer, and the babes were wrestling. You good? We'll do a little find it, get you up and wiggling. So, but the leash itself shouldn't be the thing that brings the woohoo or the oh no, and it shouldn't be the thing that's creating behavior, if that makes sense. So you don't want to be doing leash pops and yanks and scolding because your puppy doesn't understand you're mad that they're pulling. They're going to think that you're just crazy and mad near them. So make sure that you're capturing all the good that you'd like to have happen again, and that you're helping them figure out that being by the side is where you want to capture that skill for learning where to be. He says, I have to go dunk. He's going to go dunk his head in the bucket. Ready? Bodie, here. What a good boy. So much good water. Good job. So, but we'll maybe give him a little breather from this, and we'll work a little bit more with some of his other skills, like some of the stays and some other nice fun things that he enjoys doing. Okay, we'll do a little find it, and we'll call it a little day for this exercise. Good job. But Mr. B is doing stellar. What a smart man.